Good morning, everyone, and good day. So welcome to our 7 a.m. sit and the Dharmette. So let's see, and the sound okay for some of you, if you can let me know. Okay. So we'll get started momentarily. And so, yeah, feel free to just check in with the Sangha and maybe say hi um, and settle yourself since you're here a couple of minutes earlier. Yeah, thank you for those who let me know about the sound. Yeah, so we'll begin momentarily. Just for now, I wanted to invite you to consider, coming to your sitting cushion, sitting chair, maybe just as if you're coming to a quiet temple. Begin to maybe evoke a sense of care, gentleness as you sit down. And so we'll begin just in a few moments. So we'll begin this morning with the arriving sequence. Maybe imagine yourself arriving at a quiet temple, a temple of this body. Allow some gentle settledness as you settle into the space. I remember going to the temples in Kyoto, Japan. It's as if I'm walking into the temple almost like a tiptoe. It's quiet here. arriving here. Have a little care. Care for this body, the space it's in. Taking your seat right here and now. And temporarily, we can leave behind any thoughts about the future and the past. Arriving here in this moment. In the sense of arriving, maybe expressed as bringing mindfulness front and center, becoming present, available, available to the sound of my voice, ambient sound, being available to the movements of the breath, the felt sense of the sitting posture, or whatever the posture you may be taking. Aligning from ground up, being supported by earth, also being supported by the ground of a wholesome intention. My teachers sometimes use this term, resting on the ground of a wholesome intention. Aligning with our aspirations, our values, integrity within. Maybe you have a sense that you've arrived here, home, in this body, the temple of this body. Inviting the felt sense of an earth element to come in, however it may be for you. Maybe you're feeling the pelvic bones making contact with the earth. right underneath of us. The hardness of the teeth. Weight of the shoulders and arms. Being available to the experience of the earth element right here in this earthy body. Sitting like a redwood, rooted, uplifted, maybe a sense of stability, steadiness can come in. Earth element is stable. In some small and big degrees, unmoving earth element has a nature to settle. Maybe you feel a hint of stillness as you sit in the bones. Letting go of the tendencies to try to figure it out. Let the body, let the body does what it does. The body knows, body feels. Mindfulness of the body in and off the body itself. Not in the head. with the steadiness and stillness in the earth element as the backdrop. Make ourselves available to the movements, the contrasting movements of the wind element, air, qi in Chinese. The movements of the breath, rising and falling of the belly, expansion and contraction of the torso. Receiving the felt sense of the wind element blowing through the whole body. Maybe you feel vibrations tingling. A wind moves. The felt sense of the stillness may still be in the backdrop or the foreground of your experience. As you experience the movements of the air element, you may feel aliveness as you breathe in and out. There may be a vivid sense of a vitality. And stillness and movements can coexist right here in our experience. I expand to include the felt sense of a water element today. Notice the moisture inside the mouth, maybe in the palm. Maybe moisture in the eyes. Water takes a shape in whatever the container they're in. You're sitting. The water element takes the shape of sitting. Lying down. The water elements take the shape of lying down. Fluid. Permeating throughout the body. The body is still, quiet. It may feel like we're sitting in a quiet lake. Unmoving. The body has energetic, wavy experiences. You may feel as if there are ripples and waves in the body. For the rest of the meditation, feel free to stay with whatever may be prominent for you. The arriving sequence, earth element, wind element, or water element, or the combinations of all of this. dropping out of the concepts and ideas, beliefs of what all this are. Let the body speak for itself. Feel into the body, sensing into it. The temple of this body provides shelter and protection from getting caught in hindrances, grasping, aversion, and delusion. In this last few moments of our sitting together, maybe offer an inner bowing to the temple of this body and this mind, this heart. we're offering shelter, protection, and safety. Safeguarding inner integrity, inner virtue, inner goodness. Thank you all for meditating together. I felt the sense of goodness from just being here with you all and practicing together. What a fortune, great fortune. So today I wanted to continue our reflections on Sila. And today I will be extending this to the third precept. We've been going through this one by one. And this third precept is undertaking the training rules of abstaining from misconduct related to sexuality. And again, I wanted to invite all of us to explore this from an inside-out framework and using this framework of a AAA, aware, abstain, and align. Aware of the inner forces and becoming clear of the consequences of unwholesome or unskillful. And then we learn to abstain, training to abstain from those that are unskillful, unwholesome. And then we align ourselves with that is wholesome and that is skillful. And so this particular training precept, the direct Pali translation of one of the terms, a significant term in this precept, kama, refers to sensual pleasures. And so maybe the literal translation of this precept is more like undertaking the training of abstaining from misconduct in regard to sensual pleasures and sensual desire. And so this has a broader implication than the common interpretation, which is usually abstaining from misconduct in sexual relationships. And so today I wanted to explore this maybe from a broader perspective. They are not exclusive of each other in any way, but I would like to include a broader perspective as well. As we cultivate mindful awareness, like all of you have been doing this, right? And we can begin to see how sensual desire arise out of sense contexts, maybe related to seeing some beautiful appearances, clothes, hearing some sound or voice that somehow attracted us. I remember hearing many stories about Vipassana romance on retreats. I think some of you may have heard of this as well, or may have even experienced this, on retreats, right? And there's not much else going on on retreats. So our mind can get caught up just by watching a person, somehow the way they take a cup of tea or drink a cup of tea. We can get really caught up by some romantic fantasy. And it's not until the end of the retreat when the person began to speak or do something different. And then we kind of, all of a sudden, it hits us, then what happened here, right? So, so these forces are common and potent within us. If we are attuned with our awareness, and this momentary sensual desires are just kind of like ripples on the big pond of water, that they come and go, and that they ripple outwards, they kind of settle without getting manifested into anything significant at all. And yet without clear awareness and clear knowing, this kind of forces can get an upper hand. We can get caught up. And we can ride out this kind of desires and manifest into unwholesome bodily and verbal actions. And so as we began undertaking the training of cultivating awareness, we can become aware. We can know these forces. And then from externally, we take this training by undertake the training of abstaining from sexual misconduct. We don't want to play with the fire, right? And it's kind of like, we don't want to get it burned. So being aware has a lot to do with how we can cultivate capacity to undertake this training rules. So it probably, I wanted to just name how potent this force is. It probably goes, and the kind of harm they can have on human beings. And there's no denial to this. And we all know that the misuse of this kind of forces, sexual energy, sensual desires, lead to deep trauma, deep pains, distress for ourselves and for others. And I was looking up at some statistics yesterday, and in one of the statistics I Googled, and I don't know how true the information is, but it feels reasonable. And so it says 40 plus percent of the women in US has encountered sexual violence. And 20% of the males in America have been the victim of sexual violence. Isn't that amazing? And I thought this might be low. Growing up with a sexual body, that there much harm can be done. As I was stunned by the statistics, and those are probably more reported, and the unreported might be even higher. So just imagine, one out of maybe close to 2 women might have encountered sexual violence. And yet these are deep forces within. So when we are hurt and harmed, so much dukkha can happen. Some people have a lifetime kind of hurt and harm buried within. And yet, because of the potent force, it's also easy for us to get caught. I recently read something from Sharon Salzberg, one of the pioneer teachers in the Western Theravada tradition. She shared about an encounter, and she said that in her article, a friend once was at a community meeting at which a member was being rather self-righteously denounced for their sexual misconduct. And my friend's comment was, who in this room has never made a fool of themselves over sex? In fact, no one raised their hand. Isn't that kind of stunning? So sexual forces are very powerful forces. I wanted to say a few words about how we relate to these forces inside of us, and whether it's essential desires, misconducts in relationship to this kind of forces, and maybe unskillful actions that we experienced and taken in the past. I invite you to all also engage in the practice of not shaming ourselves or others, not blaming ourselves or others, because we all know that shaming and blaming are only adding salts on wounds, right? And this applies to all the other precepts, the whole training of a Sila. Shaming and blaming is unskillful and unhelpful. Instead, the very fact that the Sila is a training, it's pointing to how we can learn through coming to know these forces, coming to know the implications and consequences of these forces. And so we can train and learn to not get burned again and again. And this is a gradual training. Takes patience, lots of care and gentleness, kind attention, a willingness to learn. Just think about it, kind of how you might treat your children. If they make a mistake, we know they have potential to correct them. We don't just tell them, that's it, you're a bad boy, a bad girl forever, right? Instead, we all know that children has potential to grow and mature through learning. In the same way, we are ever growing and maturing too, even though physically we're kind of, adults. And the forces, sexual energy and sexual forces are also life-giving, life-caring. They feel the love of our partners and our families, motherly, fatherly love. We usually don't associate this with the sexuality because somehow, I guess nowadays, sexuality gets reduced to appearances and sensuality only. And it's undeniable, though, that the sexual forces are also life-giving, caring. So in practicing this training rule, we have a choice to honor and respect, care, love for life, and not to diminish life. So this speaks to how we align ourselves to respect and care for our own bodies and others. So I want to end with, again, this quote that I've been quoting from. It's Mangala Sutta, the Sutta of the Blessings. And I'll share this Sutta link maybe in a day or two. And it says, caring for mother and father, kindness to children and partners. And this is the highest blessing. So may we all respect ourselves and others. And may this cultivation benefit all beings. So enjoy your practice and whatever the activities you take today. And so we'll meet here again tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, and take good care. Bye-bye.